Back here on the No Holds Barred podcast, David Joseph, Marcus Pierre, the usual suspects, but today we have our first, that's right, our number one guest, one and only, Mike Paiva, independent professional wrestler for over 15 years. He's gracing us with his presence. We're talking wrestling, we're talking his story, and we're just going to get back into Mike Paiva. It's all about you. All right. And we did talk a little about your broadcasting career. My question to you is, do you ever see yourself doing that full time? You know, maybe commentary, maybe behind the scenes in the wrestling promotion. Do you ever see yourself doing that?
Sure, of course. I think once the wrestling career is over, I'd like to stay involved in wrestling, whether that be, and I've done it all. I've done ring announcing, I've done commentary, here and there. So definitely once the career winds down, I wouldn't mind doing something like that. As you mentioned, I do have a career. I did have a career in broadcasting. I guess once a broadcaster, always a broadcaster, right? I worked for a radio station here in Brockton for over 10 years, WBET, which became WXBR. So that was a great learning experience as well. I got to do my own morning show. I got to talk to celebrities who used to do interviews with the Ron Van Dam show. A shout out to Ron. So I'm no stranger to having a microphone in front of my face, so whether it be for promos in the ring or doing commentary or ring announcing, I feel like I can really, I'm a jack of all trades. I can do it all, really.
Versatility.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Definitely improving your worth. And it's one thing I hung on to what you said. You said you used to do commentary. You know, it's actually me and David, we actually do commentary right now for a company called Classic Wrestling Promotions. Productions, I mean. Is there any advice that you can give to us when it pertains to commentary?
I think as a commentator, you have to be a voice of the people who are watching the show. You know, you're not, as a commentator, you're not a part of the show. You are the voice of the people who are watching, and being that regular guy, you should have no affiliations towards one guy or another. Call it right down the middle, and I think that earns a little bit of respect for the people watching you. They want to, or listening to you. You know, they want to be, they want to feel like you are speaking for them. So I think if I were to give some advice, it would be that.
Okay.
Great advice.
Yeah.
And you said after the wrestling career, perhaps you can go back into broadcasting. And not to get too personal here, but we gotta hit you with some hard-hitting questions. Where's the end game with the wrestling? How much longer do you see yourself doing this?
This is my 17th year wrestling, and I'm starting to feel it. You know, the long car rides. You know, being an adult. Right now I have my own apartment that I have to pay for. So all these things really play a role into how much wrestling I do. I'd say 2014 and 2015 were my busiest years as far as wrestling 2 or 3 times every weekend. I have a guy who I've kind of took under my wing, the Lumberjake, and he's 6'3", 280. He's a big guy. So I took him under my wing. I saw something in the kid, and right now, I think I would always bring him to shows, and I would always do all these things to help him out. But I think I don't want to put a timeline on this, because I think a lot of guys do end up staying past their prime. But I don't want to give a number to how much longer I'll be doing this. I'm kind of slowing down at this point, not necessarily stopping, but just being very cautious of the bookings I take and. Right now, I'm really focusing on NCW, Northeast Championship Wrestling, at thencw.com. You can check that out. We run monthly shows in Norwood, Massachusetts. So right now, a lot of my focus goes into that and helping run that promotion as well.
Okay. All right.
And that'll continue long after I finish my in-ring career as well.
Awesome.
17 years. That's a pretty long time. Yeah. Fair to say you're a veteran in just pro wrestling.
It's weird to hear people call me that, and I'm not going to go out and, I'm a vet, respect me, but 17 years is a long time, and
that's no fluke at all.
Yeah,
either.
No, and so I'd like to help out the younger guys, with evidence by helping out Lumberjake and other guys that I see around, and it's cool to have that kind of reputation. I've had wrestlers come up to me who were fans and used to watch me wrestle. Now they're wrestlers too, so I think that's very cool. And it's always cool to give help to the younger guys who need it, because they do need it. They need your leadership, and they need your veteran opinions. And if I were to give any advice to any younger wrestlers, is just to keep your ears open and keep your mouth shut and listen to what the vets have to say, and just go about it that way, if I was to give any kind of advice to any young and up-and-coming wrestlers out there.
Absolutely.
All right.
Now, whenever I'm on commentary, I always like to point out different styles, like lucha libre and strong style. What category would you put yourself in that regard?
I think when I first started, I was a lightweight, but I'm still a lightweight. But I would do all the flippy stuff and all the fast
Spots.
motions, fast spots, high spots,
Yeah.
flipping off the ropes and jumping off of balconies. I've done a lot of crazy stuff in my 17 years that I did in the early years that I definitely wouldn't do today. But I would consider, as much as I consider myself very versatile, I'm definitely a lightweight when it comes to my size and my weight. So I'd say I'm a lightweight competitor.
Lightweight competitor.
All right, all
Definitely
right.
original.
Obviously,
The original show up.
the original Dolph
Yeah.
Ziggler. Remember that.
Remember that.
But speaking of Dolph Ziggler, WWE superstar. If you are tuning into Raw or SmackDown, do you follow the product still today? I know a lot of people that watched in the '90s drift away a little.
I still follow the product. I don't get to watch necessarily every week of Raw, but I do like to follow a lot of the things that go on, because I'm still a fan.
Yes.
I'm still a fan at heart. So I do like to follow the current product, at least here and there.
All right, you got any favorites? What's your opinion on today's product as a whole?
I think wrestling has kind of surpassed being mainstream, and is really just a part of pop culture now. I mean, I think
That's a key word right there.
Yeah, I think they've really gone past the point of just being this, because you mentioned in the 90s, and everybody was watching wrestling at that point in the Attitude Era. I remember going to the mall and counting how many wrestling shirts I would see.